Good evening. My name is Mike Burnham, and I am the Executive Director of the Maine Principals Association's Interscholastic Division. Before we begin tonight's ceremony, I'd like to introduce Ms. Paula Callan, Principal at Messalonskee High School and the President of the Maine Principals Association. Is Paula with us?
I am. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to be with you tonight. This evening's honorees have all played a major role in the achievement of Maine students. Whether you are a coach, administrator, official, or athlete, please know that through your connections with Maine kids, you have made a significant impact. We thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to this evening's presentation.
Paula, thank you very much. In behalf of all of us here tonight, we thank you for your leadership over this past year during these unprecedented times. I'd also like to recognize Life Touch Photography for their exclusive sponsorship of the Maine Principals Association Hall of Excellence. Their support from the very beginning of this program allows us to recognize folks this year into our Hall of Excellence. Tonight, we will honor 10 exceptional individuals. The honor of being inducted into the Maine Principals Association's Hall of Excellence is one of the highest honors that our association can bestow. The honor speaks to the impact and contributions that each of you have made throughout your career here in Maine. Each one of you being recognized tonight represent the ideals that we all strive to achieve, and your selection into this class is truly fitting. Tonight's honorees are truly an example of quality individuals that we have working and playing in our schools, and they serve as role models for others following in their paths. On behalf of the MPA staff and the 151 member schools in our state, thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for your service to the association and to everyone involved in interscholastic activities. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our co-host for this evening's program, Assistant Executive Director, Mr. Mike Bisson. Mike?
Good evening. Thank you, Mike. As Assistant Executive Director of the Maine Principals Association,
Is that all right?
I've had the distinct pleasure of working with the greatest principals, assistant principals, athletic directors, and coaches from around the state, while also watching our best athletes play. It is an honor to share in this evening with this exceptional group of Hall of Excellence inductees. I have had the opportunity to cross paths and work closely with many of tonight's inductees and can attest to how special this group really is. You have all made your you have all made our organization better through your contributions to our organization.
Just my part of the introduction.
I will now turn it back to Mr. Burnham to present our first inductee.
Thank you, Mike. Our first honoree this evening is Rod Wooten. Rod is a 1957 graduate of Spalding High School in Rochester, New Hampshire. After high school, he went on to attend the University of New Hampshire, where in 1961, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Education degree with a concentration in physical education and math. Throughout his career, Rod has always been a multi-sport athlete, playing football, basketball, and baseball. He served as a captain in all of those sports and was also named an MVP in all three. He was a student activity treasurer, a class vice president, was in the Key Club, played for the Tri-City Chargers, and played in the Shrine Maple Sugar football game. Coach Wooten began his coaching career in 1962, and over a 50-year career, amassed an overall coaching record of 343 wins, 78 losses, and 3 ties. He won an astounding 21 state titles, 17 of those in Maine, 4 in New Hampshire. He is the only football coach in Maine history to have won state championships in all 4 classes of football. He's been inducted into the Manchester Union Leader Football Hall of Fame, was named the New Hampshire Coach of the Year twice, and in 1988 was inducted into the Rochester Sports Hall of Fame, and then into the Maine Athletic Hall of Fame and was named Coach of the Year in 1989. He served as the head coach in the first ever Maine Shrine Lobster Bowl and followed that by being an assistant coach in year 2. He has received the Outstanding Coach Award at the Maine Scholar Athlete Banquet. And in 2006, Rod was named the Division IV Coach of the Year in New Hampshire. And in 2007, he was inducted into the Joe Yucca, New Hampshire Chapter National Football Foundation and the College Hall of Fame. Also in 2007, he was inducted into the Maine Legends Sports Hall of Fame and has been declared as the winningest coach in New England high school football history. In 2020, he was honored as the first GOAT Maine coach of football by the Bangor Daily News. Speaking of Coach Wooten's character, at one point while coaching at Marshwood High School, the Hawks held the longest winning streak in the nation at 45 games. Just before the state championship football game, he found it necessary to suspend several of his starters for rule violations. Marshwood went on to lose that game, but rebounded nicely by winning the next 33 straight games. Building character and playing within the rules was more important to Coach Wooten than his win and loss record. In 2001, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, but continued coaching for 2 more years, retiring in 2011. He and his wife, Norma, have 3 adult children, Peter, Wendy, and Jeff, and 7 grandchildren. But to this day, he still considers his former players and past coaches as a part of his extended family. Rod, it is with great pleasure that we recognize you into the 2021 MPA Hall of Excellence. Speaking on behalf of Coach Wooten is his wife, Norma. Norma?
Good evening. This is a special honor, and I'm so proud to accept this award from my husband, Rod Wotton, who has been fighting Parkinson's disease for the past 20 years. These are his words. Thank you to the Maine Principals Association for this outstanding award into the Hall of Excellence, and I accept it with great pride. Congratulations also to the other honorees this evening. There is not a coach I know that can accept such an award without thanking so many people involved, but too many to name and too many I would forget to name. And thank you to the administrators of Marshwood High School and St. Thomas Aquinas, the coaches who worked with me for 48 years, and of course the hundreds of football players and their families who worked so hard and gave so much. They will never know just how much. Many of my best friends today are past football players, and I'm so proud to say they played football for me, or they still coach with me. The football players, not me, are the reason you are so graciously accepted me into your Hall of Excellence. They played and won the games, not I. I'd also like to thank a huge thank you to all of the sports writers who interviewed me in the past. Not easy, because I don't like long answers and I don't like long speeches. The shorter, the better. I guess that's similar to Bill Belichick. I really would love to thank my #1 fans and the loves of my life, my family, my sons, Peter and his wife, Kathy, Jeff and his wife, Cheryl, my daughter, Wendy, and her husband, Tom, my treasured grandchildren, Megan, Molly, Jake, Kiana, Malia, Nicole, and Jackson, and my best friend, my water girl of 48 years, and my wife of 60 years, Norma. Again, congratulations to all of the honorees, and thank you to the Maine Principals Association for your Hall of Excellence Silver Platter Award. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma, and congratulations, Coach Wadden. Our
Thank
next
you.
inductee this evening is Mary Cady. Mary attended Holton High School in Holton, Kansas, where she graduated in May 1967. She then went on to the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas, and the William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communications, where she graduated in July 1971 with a BS in journalism, news editorial. She was the first female sports reporter for the University Daily Kansan during the 1969 fall semester. She also shot on the Kansas University rifle team for 4 years and was a Big 8 Conference women's rifle champion in 1970 and runner-up in 1971. Mary attended numerous Army schools since commissioning in July 1971, to include the prestigious Department of Defense Information School, DINFOS, which included officers from all branches of the U.S. military, civilian leaders from government agencies, and foreign military officers, and then took the Information Officer course at Fort Ben in Harrison, Indiana, where she earned a diploma in May of 1972. She also attended the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College at Fort Leavenworth and completed the Command and General Staff Officer course in August 1982. Mary has directed and organized track meets in May for 30 years. She started with Orono High School spring meets in 1988. In her early days, she dealt with entries and results at the finish line and recorded paper results and called them into the newspapers. She also trained new officials and workers for the meets. Mary directed Old Town High School meets when they built their new track. She also directed PVC, Orono, and Old Town cross country meets as well, directed PVC League track meets, and MPA regional and state indoor and outdoor meets. She has worked PVC EMITL, that's the Eastern Maine Indoor Track League, indoor meets since 1990, and was league director from 1994 to 2017. Mary directed all meets, coordinated with the University Athletics Department and the PVC athletic directors and coaches to create their meet schedules, hired officials and trained them, and coordinated with the media. Mary has announced and scored Orono High School football and ice hockey games as well, and has announced Washington Academy football games for 5 years, and coached the Orono High School golf team for 11 years, earning 2 state team runner-up awards and 1 individual state champion. When she stopped directing track meets, she has worked with Brewer Timing Services as a high-tech computer operator, taking entries, seeding, and doing results from middle school, high school, prep school, and college meets. There's a long time in Eastern Maine, if you went to a meet and didn't see Mary Cady, it couldn't have been much of a meet, because she was at all the big ones. Mary is an NCAA, high school, and USATF master level certified official. While serving in the military, she commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army in July 1971, a public affairs information officer on active duty for 3 years. She continued her service in the Army Reserves, retiring as a lieutenant colonel after 20 years. Mary is a Vietnam era veteran, and we thank you for your service. Her accolades include MIAAA Distinguished Service Award in recognition for her distinguished service to interscholastic athletics, who was outside of the field of athletic administration in 1996 and in 2005. The MPA Larry Labrie Award in recognition of outstanding contributions to the MPA Interscholastic Division in 2015. The MIAAA Distinguished Service Award for service to the local community, the PVC Conference in 2017. The 2016 Maine USATF Presidential Award for many years of dedication and support to the sport of track and field, and was inducted into the Orono High School Hall of Fame in 2020-2021 for service to Orono High School as a track and field official, meet director, announcer, scorer for football and ice hockey games, and golf team coach. On a personal level, thank you for all that you have taught me over the years about running cross-country, indoor track, and track meets, Mary. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Miss Mary Cady.
Thank you, Mike. I enjoyed working with you and teaching you a few things about track meets. I would like to thank the MPA for this honor. It's nice to be recognized for my contribution to the sport of track and field. And I do appreciate this recognition, and also for the MPA's support directing MPA-sponsored state and regional track meets and cross-country meets. I would also like to congratulate the other inductees. This is a very impressive list, and I'm pleased to share this honor with them. I'd like to thank my family for patiently supporting my track endeavors over the years. My husband, Rob, a daughter, Kate, son, Houston, and son, Stuart, and his wife, Erin, and their son, my 2-year-old grandson, Wen. I'd like to thank the athletic directors and coaches that I've worked with during the past 30 years. They've all been very supportive. And special thanks to the Orono athletic directors, especially the current AD, Mike Archer. And there are 3 coaches whose expertise, experience, and guidance have made it possible for me to direct track meets. Brewer coaches Dave Jeffrey and Glendon Rand, who both are also part of Brewer Timing Services, and Old Town coach Rod White. They were always there for me from the beginning when I had questions about meets, what to do, how to manage certain situations, and their experiences as coaches and athletes was very helpful, and I still rely upon them for guidance. All I've ever wanted to do was have better track meets, efficiently run with knowledgeable officials so that the athletes would have a good experience with fair competition. A former athlete who later ran for an Ivy League college told me at the end of his high school career, "When meets are run well, I run well." And I hope that this is my legacy to Maine track and field. Again, thanks to the MPA, especially Mike Burnham and Mike Bisson, for naming me to their Hall of Excellence. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next inductee this evening is Sue Weatherby. Sue attended Wellesley High School in Massachusetts, Williamsville High School in New York, and then went on to graduate from Cape Elizabeth High School in 1964. After high school, she went on to attend the University of Maine in Orono. While Sue was in high school, she was a football cheerleader, played varsity basketball, softball, field hockey, track and field, and was a member of the Girls Athletic Association. She was recognized as a Western Maine Field Hockey All-Star in 1963 and voted most athletic of her class in 1964. After high school, Sue went on to earn her local field hockey officials rating, her field hockey sectional rating, and the Massachusetts Board of College Officials, allowing her to officiate college field hockey games all across New England. In 1975, Sue officiated the inaugural field hockey state championship game here in Maine. She was a founding member of the Maine Field Hockey Coaches and Officials Association, served as the first umpire liaison to the MPA Field Hockey Committee, and as the assistant director of Styx Field Hockey Camp from 1982 to 1994. In 1986, Sue became the director of Cape Elizabeth Community Services and also worked with the Cape Elizabeth High School field hockey team, both as an assistant and later as their head coach. Sue's accolades include officiating in the NCAA Division III College National Field Hockey Championship games, receiving the Maine Field Hockey Association's President's Award, the Cape Elizabeth South Portland Rotary Club Service Above Self Award, the Paul Liscord Award for contributions to field hockey growth in Cape Elizabeth, the National Federation of Girls and Women's Sports Exemplary Professional Award, and has also been inducted into the Maine Field Hockey Hall of Fame and received the MPA Unsung Heroine Award. Since 2009, Sue has been the Western Maine Field Hockey Umpires Assigner and currently serves as that sport's state assigner. She also served as the state girls lacrosse umpires assigner from 2010 to 2018. In 2008, Sue retired as the Cape Elizabeth Community Service Director after serving in that role for 22 years. From 2008 to 2019, she participated on the Maine senior women's basketball team, competing in 5 national tournaments and winning 1 bronze and 1 gold medal. So it is with great pleasure that we recognize you as an honoree in the 2021 MPA Hall of Excellence.
Okay, am I on? Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. I am humbled and honored to be receiving this award along with the other honorees. I have loved sports my entire life. Growing up in the pre-Title IX era, I'm old, allowed me little opportunity to play a lot of sports. I tried my darndest to play Little League Baseball in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Yep, I tucked my blonde curls up under my cap and off I went to tryouts. Briefly, I was selected for the majors, and believe it or not, then I was not. I was told, we're sorry, but only boys are eligible to play. By the time I reached high school, there were finally a few sports offered to girls. I played the usual basketball, 3v3 on each side of the court, 3 dribbles, softball, and this sport called field hockey, which was totally foreign and new to me. I thought I could pick up the skills quickly, and I did, and I really grew to love the sport. I continued playing field hockey even after high school when I joined a club team. Finding officials to officiate these games was so difficult. I thought to myself, I know this game. I could be an official. So I reached out to Pat Gallagher and Jackie Perry, 2 pioneer officials who had officiated my high school games. The timing was perfect. I was a stay-at-home mom with the birth of my firstborn and was looking to do something fun. Those that rated me said I was a natural. I did possess the knowledge of the game. I exuded confidence in my calls. I had a strong whistle. And yes, I had that cocky demeanor necessary to be an official. It appeared that officiating was my destiny since I'm still at it 53 years later. One of the highlights of my officiating career, as Mike mentioned, was in 1986 when I was selected to officiate the Division III National Final Four Championships. Flossie Smith, a fellow official from Maine, accompanied me to the tournament. Now, Flossie was originally from Philadelphia, the field hockey mecca of the United States. She introduced me to some of the tournament officials from Philly and told them that I was officiating that weekend. One of them replied, "Oh, I didn't know they had any good officials in Maine." Well, the end result was that I got the national championship final game, and that official was assigned to the consolation game. I guess Maine officials weren't that bad after all. A shortage of field hockey officials is nothing new. I was always seeking out new people to become field hockey officials. In 1986, when I became the director of Cape Elizabeth Community Services, I began running field hockey officiating courses through community services as well as through Styx Field Hockey Camp. I even talked a couple of my fellow softball players into officiating. That's how we got Kim Ballantyne and Denise Morin, who joined the ranks then and are still officiating today. Some of my more notable recruits were notorious basketball officials. There was Ed Manning and Joe Kilmartin and Sammy Coughlin and Frank Batchelder. Although they had to learn the rules of the game, they sure knew how to blow that whistle. As my responsibilities at community services broadened, it became apparent that I could not slip out every afternoon to officiate. But when field hockey coaches were desperately needed at Cape Elizabeth High School, I felt it was prudent to do something for my own district. The transition from officiating to coaching was not without its challenges for me. Many of the people that worked my games, I had not only trained, but I rated. I'm sure it will not surprise you that I had great difficulty remaining quiet on the sidelines when I thought calls were missed or called incorrectly. In one preseason scrimmage, I find myself at the field on the edge of the circle during the game. I had a whistle around my neck and inadvertently blew it and gave the hand signal. My coaching partner yanked me off the field and asked, "What are you thinking?" I said I had no idea. It was like the whistle just blew itself. Upon my retirement from community services in 2008, I finally had the time and the opportunity to give more to the sport that I love. So I returned to a full schedule of field hockey and lacrosse officiating and added assigning duties as Western Maine assigner in field hockey and the state assigner in girls lacrosse. As I rapidly climbed down the ladder of my officiating career, assigning was the perfect opportunity to give back and stay connected to the sports I had loved for more than 50 years. It's been a great ride, and I have totally enjoyed all aspects of the sport. Playing, coaching, officiating, teaching, and mentoring, I have loved it all. What I have enjoyed the most are the great people I have met along the way: athletic administrators, players, coaches, fellow officials, and MPA committee members. It has been my pleasure to work with and get to know such incredible people. Thank you all for the opportunities and for this wonderful recognition.
Thank you, Sue, and congratulations on your induction into our Hall of Excellence. Well deserved. Our next honoree is Art Greenlaw. Art is a 1966 graduate of Belfast Area High School, where he participated in football, basketball, and track. He then went on to Southern Connecticut State University, where he graduated in 1970 with a degree in health and physical education. In 1990, he graduated from the University of Maine with a master's in educational administration. Art began his teaching career at Skowhegan Area High School, where he taught science and biology for 2 years before moving to health and physical education, where he was department head and then became the athletic director. In 1976, Art started teaching at the George W. Stearns High School in Millinocket, where in 1991, he became the co-assistant principal until he became the principal of Millinocket Middle School, a role he served in until 2003. Art was a member of the MPA, serving on the tennis, professional development, football, interscholastic management, and professional management committees. He was chairman of the IMC as well as president of the MPA. During his career, Art was an assistant and head football coach, co-head coach, and then coach of the boys track team at Skowhegan Area High School. He was the head football coach at Stearns, leading his team to the state championships in 1992, 1984, 1987, and 1995. The 95 one, I think, coach, is my favorite because I was there with you. He was the assistant coach for the East team for the Maine Shrine Lobster Bowl, and then the head coach for the East team in 1991. Art was the assistant coach and then head football coach at Madnock Academy in Lincoln, as well as the assistant football coach at Hudson College. In addition to serving the MPA, Art was the vice president of the Maine Football Coaches Association and was a representative for 3 years at the Sports Done Right Institute at the University of Maine. Art was recognized as the LTC Coach of the Year in 1982, 1984, 1986, and 1987. Thousands of adults today in Eastern Maine, with myself included, fondly refer to Art simply as Coach Greenlaw. One of the many things many of those young people heard daily at practice while playing for Coach was, "It's a beautiful day to be alive and well playing football in Millinocket, Maine." Well, Coach, it's a wonderful day to welcome you to the MPA Hall of Excellence.
Mr. Greenlaw, you'll need to turn on your video and unmute yourself. Mr. Greenlaw, you're still muted. Mr. Greenlaw? What? Art? Mr. Greenlaw, we can't hear you. Let's try it. There we go. Oh, we're still having a hard time hearing you. Mr. Greenlaw, I think we're having some audio difficulties. If you want to try muting and then unmuting yourself, I think that will work.
Is that
Oh.
better,
That is much better. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
Mike? Coach, we got you right now. We're good. Go ahead.
Okay, I need help. You know that, huh? You know, it's expecting a lot of us old guys that we can pull this off, especially those of us that haven't had a reason to do these Zoom calls in the past year. So this is very much a learning experience for me. So simply stating that I'm very humbled to be included in this process, and was very fortunate to grow up, and all I ever wanted to do from the very beginning was to coach and be involved with young people. My first teaching experience at Skowhegan Area High School opened the door to being mentored by some amazing people. The principal was Phil Harris, and he showed a great deal of confidence in me when he gave me the opportunity to be the athletic director after only having coached and taught for 2 years. To say that it was a learning experience would be an understatement for sure. But the people at Skowhegan were first class people. I got the opportunity to work with Keith Lancaster and Reggie Clark, Joel Penley, and many others. They go without saying. They helped to shape the person that I became, I think, as an educator. In 1976, I got the opportunity to move to Stearns High School, and again, met some amazing people. Don Hackett was a longtime principal there at Stearns. Don Dow would soon become the athletic director. He wasn't the athletic director when I first went there. Don is a legend in and of his own right, certainly as far in the Maine Principals Association and the Interscholastic Athletic Directors Association. When I had the opportunity to become the middle school principal, it was a difficult decision for me to decide whether to continue to coach or to move on. And feeling that it's important to be able to give everybody the most attention that they needed, it was an opportunity to become the middle school principal. And so I resigned football at Stearns in the summer of '91, after having been the head coach of the second Lobster Bowl and on the staff at the first Lobster Bowl. Situations change. If there's anything that we know about education is that you have to be able to adapt. And in 1995, I got the opportunity to come back to coaching again. In particular, got to coach my son in his senior year at Stearns High School, which was a great personal thing for me. Had some great coaches. Coach Bisson, Mike Bisson was part of that staff, and we were very, very fortunate. We had some great young people and had a great deal of success. As the middle school principal, we closed down the old Stearns building in the summer of '98 and moved over to the new Stearns campus. And again, I decided it was an opportunity to move on and be able to focus on my attention on those things as a middle school principal. So coaching has never gone away from me. It's always been there and always been something that I greatly enjoy. In my role as the middle school principal, I was able to become more active in the Maine Principal Association. And I would like to thank all those people that were there and from the time that I was a middle school principal on. Dick Tyler was the executive director, Phyllis Doringus, Larry Labrie. They were great people and great mentors to me personally. In the early spring of 2001, I got a phone call from Dick DeRoss, who was the recently appointed executive director. And he told me that he had some great news for me. And I didn't know really what he was saying, but he told me that I had been selected as the president-elect for the Maine Principals Association. And my first response to him was, Dick, you sure you got the right guy here? But again, he was a great mentor to me and became a great friend. And I certainly appreciate all that he offered. As a middle school principal, you know that we don't work in a vacuum, that it takes great people, especially if you're going to continue to coach, which I did for a while. And I had a great office staff, Sylvie Ann Haynes, Velma Dumas, my assistant principal, Brad Ingerson, were all great people and made it possible for me to continue coaching for the 3 years that I was involved as a middle school, still as a middle school principal. One of the things that I encountered in my graduate work is I had a class that the instructor was Alan Snell. And part of that process, I think one of the very first classes, he asked us to think about what we want our legacy to be. And that made me think about a couple of things. One of them was that I wanted to be able to say that I gave people their money's worth each and every day, that I did my best and to do the best job that I could. And the second thing was that I wanted to be remembered that I treated my students, whether they be students or athletes, the way that I would want my son or my child to be treated. And those are really the goals that I tried to utilize throughout my 33-year career in education. When I retired in 2003, another door opened and I got an opportunity to become an assistant coach at Hudson University in their first year of interscholastic football. And that was a great eye opener. And I really enjoyed that. And I need to thank Gabby Price for giving me that opportunity. Then in the spring of 2004, my phone rang again, and it was a gentleman by the name of Mike Bisson telling me that he had just become the head football coach at Mananock Academy, and that would I be interested in coming there as an assistant. And I certainly was. It was a great opportunity. I got to work with Mike's stepdad at Skowhegan. I coached with Mike on my staff at Stearns, and now he was going to be the head coach and I was to be the assistant. And I was very comfortable with that and very pleased by that. But again, things change. And Mike became elementary principal, and I had the opportunity to step into Mananock Academy as the head football coach. 3 great years there. And one of my experiences is that I've learned a couple of things. One of them is that there's always a lot to learn, no matter what you're doing. always a lot to learn. And the other thing is that having the opportunity to work at a number of schools, that we are blessed with great kids in the state of Maine. And as a coach, we sometimes think about our kids as the best kids that there are. That sometimes we have that foxhole mentality. But my sense is that we have great kids everywhere. And the state of Maine has a great future because of the kids and the teachers and the educators that are working with these young people. Finally, I would be remiss not to mention how important it is to have had a very supportive family. My wife, Winnie, has been a rock for me to lean on in good times and in bad. And my son, Adam, and his wife, Jen, and then daughter, my granddaughter, Charlotte, just mean the world to me. Finally, I also need to recognize my brother, Dick Greenlaw, who was the principal at Mattinock Academy for 20 years. Dick set the example for me, and I think for many others who got to know him. And I feel that I've been very, very blessed to have these opportunities. And I would close by saying thank you again to the Maine Principal Association for remembering me.
Art, congratulations, and please know that your legacy has been very well established. It is my pleasure to welcome our next honoree, Alan Snell. Alan graduated from Madison High School in 1961 and went on to attend the International College in Copenhagen, where he graduated with an associate degree in world studies. From there, he attended Ricker College, earning a BA degree in history and government. In 1973, Alan graduated from the University of Southern Maine with a Master of Science in Educational Administration, and then earned his Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies in Educational Administration from the University of Maine in 1985. Alan began his career in public schools as a teaching principal at the Quimby School in Bingham in the February of 1967. He then went on to become the supervising principal of the Orland Consolidated School in 1970, and in 1977 went on to become the principal of Brewer Junior High Middle School. From 1980 to 1996, Alan held various assignments within the Brewer School Department, including the principal of the Washington and Capri Street Schools, the director of instruction, the personnel manager, the assistant to the superintendent, and then as the superintendent from 1996 to 2001. He then moved on to become the superintendent of schools in Orrington, Orland, and Dedham, and has served as the interim superintendent of the Brewer School Department twice, both in 2015 and again in 2019. Alan was involved with the creation of the Madison Youth Football Program, served as the head coach from 1967 to 70. He coached basketball at the Orland Consolidated School and was a founding father of the Brewer PAL football program, which resurrected the defunct Pop Warner program, serving as its commissioner from 1992 to 1997. He coached and served on the board of directors of the Brewer PAL basketball program from 1989 to 96, and was manager of the Brewer Falcons American Legion team from 1997 to 2008. Alan has been an important member of the MPA Eastern, now known as the Northern Maine Basketball Tournament, since 1977, and currently serves as the co-director of that tournament. He is also a member of the Maine Basketball Commission. He has been a high school football official since 1981 and has served as the Maine Association of Football Officials Secretary Treasurer, as well as the liaison to the MPA Football Committee since 2000. Alan has officiated multiple MPA state championship football games, 3 Shrine Lobster Bowl games, and currently serves as the assigner of officials for all state championship football games. As the president of the Maine State Elementary Principals Association, Alan was involved with the creation and development of the Maine Principals Academy in 1980 and was a participant and would go on to serve as both a staff member and a chair of the board for 10 years. He co-wrote the federal grant which funded a graduate principals academy and a principals planning strategies for secondary school education for the 90s workshop held in Tennants Harbor. Alan has coached Little League, Junior and Senior League, and has been a selectman for the town of Orrington for 7 years. The most recent 3 years, he has been their chair. He has earned many accolades, including the Maine Elementary Principal of the Year, the National Distinguished Principal Award, a Milken National Educator Award, the Sporting Goods Manufacturers Association Heroes Award, an MPA Larry Labrie Award, the Penquist Superintendent Service Award, the State Superintendent Association Service and Leadership Award, the Maine Sports Legends Hall of Honors, and the National Football Association Officials Recognition Award recipient. He served as the president of the State Elementary Principals Association, the president of the Northeast Regional Elementary Principals Association. He was the national representative to the National Association of Elementary School Principals and served on the merger committee when the State Secondary Principals Association and the State Elementary Principals Association came together. Alan has been married to his wife Cheryl for the past 42 years. Together they have 3 adult children, Yvonne, Jeff, and Ryan, and 8 grandchildren. Please help me welcome Alan Snell into the 2021 MPA Hall of Excellence. Alan?
Thank you, Mike. And thank you to the committee that comes up with these selections. Somehow my name must have come up from someone, and here I am. I'm honored to be with this group today. It's amazing what I've heard so far about all the accomplishments of these people and the kinds of leaders they were for children and for schools. I'll just begin quickly to explain how I ended up where I am and how it all began. It's a little bit different flow than everyone else. As you read, I was a graduate of a liberal arts college and Rickett College and came home. In those days, the first semester extended into January. And after I completed my courses, I was on the 9-semester plan. So it meant I had to go back that semester extra in that fall. I came home and I had an interview set up with the Sears Corporation in their Boston office to go into the management program. And the interview was set for May. And when I arrived home, I was all excited that I was done college. And my mother and father immediately announced to me that that didn't mean I was going to sit on my butt at home, basking in my happiness until May, that I better go find a job. So I went down and registered with the Department of Education, and a lady named Margaret Arbor was the person that you registered with. And if she liked you, she was the person that all of the superintendents contacted. Well, about a week later, I got a call from the superintendent in Bingham wanting to interview me for a teaching principal's job. So I went up and interviewed with him, and I thought, holy smokes, if you think about that, and today I wouldn't even have gotten an interview because I had no certification. I didn't have any formal education training in college. But I interviewed with him, and I suspect they didn't have any other candidates because I got hired. So I went to work. That very first day, I walked into the classroom, a grade 6 class, and looked around at 36 students. In today's day age, that would be, I don't know what would happen if you had 36 students in the class. And so I learned on the fly. I loved it. I had a passion. I love children anyway. So when the end of the year came, I canceled my interview for the job with the Sears Corporation and continued to work in Bingham for 3.5 years. The other good news from that is that I had to take 6 credits every summer to renew my certificate, or get my certificate. And I started taking those at Farmington and got enrolled in a master's program. So that's how I ended up. 24 of my credits for masters were taken at Farmington, but when I finally got them, the super university had been formed, and only the Gorham and Orono campuses at that point could grant masters. So I transferred to Southern Maine, took 2 courses and got my master's degree. From Bingham, I went on to Orland, and that's where I really started to get involved with the Principals Association. I found out about then a group called SEPA. I joined and immediately got involved. I was selected to attend a program the summer of 71 or 72. I'm not sure which, I can't remember exactly. Called Professional Improvement for Elementary Schools Principals Project. It was a Title III project. And that was an outstanding leadership situation for me to attend. And that led me to get involved further with SEPA and further involved how I was acting as a principal. In 77, I moved to Brewer Junior High to become principal. Incidentally, that was the same year that Dennis Kyer came to Brewer as a teacher at the high school. While at Brewer, I was 1978, I became president-elect of SEEP, then called SEEP, the State Elementary Principals, and then Association, then became president in 79, 80. And at that conference that year, a guy named Ron Reynolds, who was the Commissioner of Education, former Superintendent of Schools in Portland, announced the idea of forming something called the Principals Academy. And as it happened, by chance, I was president of SEPA, and Mickey Doble, principal of Brewer High, was president of the SBA. And we both got together and appointed the 4 people that created the academy, and they also added Gordon Donaldson to the staff from the University of Maine, and that's how the Principals Academy got started. And that was how I became involved with it and continued involved with it all that time that Mike mentioned. I continued on in Brewer, serving as principal of the junior high, and then transferred to the Washington Capri Street schools, and then in the other various assignments that you heard. I then enrolled in a program at the university to get my CAS degree in the superintendency, became a colleague of Gordon Donaldson's, and that got me involved with the Tenants Harbor thing, and also that actually led to, Gordon wrote about it, led to the book Promising Futures, which many of you secondary school principals should be quite familiar with. I also, while I was at Brewer Junior High, Brewer Middle School, got involved with the planning for a middle school conference that was held at the then Bangor Auditorium, involving the university and several schools, in which we had, I think, about somewhere around 1,000 participants, and really got the middle school movement going in the state of Maine. So that was my involvement to that point. Now I became superintendent of schools in 1996, and that sort of ended my time as a principal. My connection to the interscholastic side, as Mike mentioned, is that when I came to Brewer, I got involved with the Brewer Junior High crew. Several of them worked at the basketball tournament, and a guy named Guy Toole announced to me that, Alan, you need to go work at the tournament. So I did, and I'm still doing that quite a few years later. And then also I got involved in refereeing football in 1981, and then worked at that as being a referee, and then involved in the leadership of it. And then consequently, starting around 1999 or so, I began working with the state games and the assignment of the officials with the committee. And that was my connection to that. I always enjoyed working with kids. It was a pleasure to be involved in schools, and pleasure. I also always had good leadership. Every superintendent I worked for was wonderful, supported whatever I wanted to do. And then lastly, the most important support I've had in my lifetime is from my wife, Cheryl, and also my 3 kids that Mike mentioned. 2 of them are involved in schools currently. Ryan, my youngest son, Ryan, is the head football coach at Madomic Valley High School. And my daughter, Yvonne, is an Ed Tech 3 at Brewer Community School, and she's worked with them for over 25 years. So once again, thank you to the short selection to have this honor. I'm humbled, and hard to believe when I hear what the other people have to say, and Mike and Mike say about the background of each of them, that I could even be among that group. But nevertheless, that's happened, so I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Helen, never doubt whether you belong in this group. Congratulations and thank you for all that you do and have done for the MPA. Our next honoree to be inducted into the 2021 Hall of Excellence is David Halligan Jr. David graduated from Falmouth High School in 1970. He was an outstanding and competitive athlete, excelling in baseball, basketball, and was a truly gifted soccer player. He was referred to as gritty, speedy, intelligent, and skilled. Many of those traits have carried over as an adult, as a teacher and a coach. Following graduation from Falmouth High School, he attended the University of Maine, Portland Gorham, and graduated from the University of Maine, Orono in 1975 with a Bachelor of Science degree in education. He then went on to earn his master's in education, also from the University of Maine in 1978. Mr. Halligan coached several sports, including JV soccer for both Greeley and Cape Elizabeth High Schools, freshman girls basketball for Deering High School, varsity boys soccer at Cape Elizabeth and Falmouth High Schools, JV boys baseball, assistant boys baseball, varsity girls softball, varsity soccer, varsity basketball, all at Falmouth High School. David has been recognized as the National Soccer Coaches Association National High School Coach of the Year in 1998. The National Soccer Coaches Association Regional Coach of the Year in 1998 and 2010. The Maine Soccer Coaches Association Coach of the Year in 1998, 2000, 2001, and 2009. The Portland Press Herald Maine Sunday Telegram Coach of the Year in 2020. The Falmouth Forecaster Coach of the Year in 2003, 2006, 2012, and 2019. And the NFHS State, Regional, and National Coach of the Year in 2020. The same year, Mr. Halligan was inducted into the Maine Basketball Hall of Fame. This year, David was recognized as an NFHS National Soccer Coach of the Year. Quite a list of accomplishments at the national level, someone from Maine. He has led his soccer teams to 12 state championships, 13 regional championships, and 14 league championships. In basketball, he took over as the Falmouth varsity coach in 1987. Since that time, he has amassed over 500 wins, 11 Western Maine Conference championships, and 6 state championships. His teams have won over 80% of their games. He was inducted into the Maine Basketball Hall of Fame in 2020. Combined, David's teams have won over 1,000 games between soccer and basketball. And when many people think of the rich tradition of Falmouth athletics, David Halligan has to be at the forefront of those thoughts for his connection and commitment to his school and his community. Mr. Halligan's coaching dates back to my playing days in the old Cumberland County Conference, also known as the Triple C. My experience as a player was that his teams were very well prepared and very difficult to play against. They were always very strong. I believe that is even more so the case today. Please help me in welcoming one of Maine's greatest coaches to the MPA Hall of Excellence, Mr. David Halligan Jr.
Thank you for those kind words. I first would like to congratulate all the other honorees this evening and to thank you for all the significant contributions that you have given to the state of Maine. To even be considered for an award such as this is a very humbling experience. I am honored and thankful to the Maine Principals Association and to Mr. Bisson and Mr. Burnham for hosting this event this evening. I'm sure that the other honorees will agree with me that we don't do what we do for the recognition, but it does feel nice to know that somebody does recognize and appreciate your efforts. It is that feeling that you get when a former student or player comes back and thanks you for what you have done for them to help them be successful. And you realize that all the effort, time, and energy is worth it, that you have made a significant difference in a young person's life. What makes this award especially meaningful to me is that it does come from the Maine Principals Association. It is about meeting the needs of the high school students. I think it's about doing it the right way. You know, nowadays we have premier, elite, and travel team sports, or is more about individual skill and sport-specific development for the elite athlete. In high school is more about personal and human growth development for all the players through the context of athletic activities, no matter what the skill level. I get just as much thrill and enjoyment out of seeing a senior or a freshman for that matter, scoring their first varsity point or getting into their first varsity game or even stepping onto the tournament floor for the first time. I enjoy that as much as I do seeing the star score the winning basket or the winning goal. The MPA provides that opportunity to so many students with the many programs and activities that they sponsor, and everything they do is first class. I use the tournament experience as an example. My high school coach, Frank Littlefield, had the opportunity to go on and coach in different New England states. He came back and said, boy, we missed what we have in Maine. You don't appreciate what you have until you go somewhere else. Yeah. The tournament experience is not just another game. It's not just playing another basketball game in another gym. It is a meaningful experience that is cherished for a lifetime by the participants, and I thank the Maine Principals Association for making that possible. I would be remiss if I did not thank the people that inspired, supported, and mentored me throughout the years, starting with my parents, Janet and David Halligan Sr., who have supported me and gone to games as a player and a coach for the last 55 years. They always insisted that if it was worth doing well, and to do it the right way, and you can make a difference. I want to thank my wife, Joy, and sons, Andy and Patrick, who participated on this great adventure with me. I can tell you firsthand how we all benefited from participating in the numerous Maine Principal activities, both in sports and in the arts. I had the enjoyment of coaching both my boys in baseball and soccer. I coached basketball and they played hockey. I would like to give thanks to Bruce Thurlow, the former superintendent at Cape Elizabeth High School, for giving me my first varsity soccer coaching opportunity, and to Ted Sharp, who hired me as the varsity basketball and soccer coach at Falmouth High School 36 years ago. I was fortunate to be mentored by a number of outstanding coaches and administrators. Frank Littlefield, my high school coach, Len Hutchins, Leroy Rand, Vic Woodbury, Joey Bouchard at USM, and Cooper Higgins, just to name a few. I would also like to thank the assistant coaches that I've had the privilege to coach with and the players that I have had the honor to coach. As parents, teachers, and coaches, we all like to think and hope that we can make a difference. What I've come to learn is that we might not be able to save the world, but if we can make our little corner of it a better place, and if everybody would do that, the world would be a better place. I've been fortunate to receive a number of awards in my coaching career, but receiving this Hall of Excellence Award this evening from the Maine Principals Association be one that I will always cherish. Again, congratulations to all of tonight's honorees, and thank you to the Maine Principals Association for your consideration for this award.
Congratulations on a job well done, Coach Halligan.
Thank you.
It is with great honor that I introduce our next inductee, Jean Crocker. Jean graduated in 1972 from Watertown High School in Watertown, Massachusetts. She then went on to attend Colby College, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Spanish and French. She then went on to graduate with a Master's in Educational Leadership from the University of Southern Maine in 1979. Jean began her career in education as a teacher of Spanish and French at Waterville High School, and would then move on to Wyndham High School, where she would teach those same subjects. In 1983, Jean accepted a position at South Portland High School, where she would serve as a classroom teacher for 15 years. She served as the assistant principal for 1 year and then moved into the role of principal, a role that she held until moving on to the position of assistant executive director at the Maine Principals Association. While working for South Portland High School, Jean developed a new leadership team structure, grade level teams, block scheduling, and an innovative schedule that allowed for common planning during the school day. She was also responsible for creating a home-based advisor program and had a robust honors recognition ceremony. During her time at South Portland, she was also an active member of the Maine Principals Association. Over those years, she served on the Eligibility Committee, the Legislative Committee, the High School Principal of the Year Selection Committee, the Professional Management Committee, and an ad hoc committee looking at public relations. She represented the MPA on a Maine Department of Education task force looking at the high school diploma requirements, as well as serving as the National Association Secondary School Principal Maine Coordinator for a number of years. Also during her time at South Portland, she was a role model for other administrators in Southern Maine, founding a professional learning group of women administrators in Cumberland and York County, known as WACI, helped develop summer leadership conferences, helped form the Great Schools Partnership, as well as the Casco Bay Education Alliance. She was a frequent guest speaker in the educational leadership classes offered at the University of Southern Maine. She served as the president of the Maine Principals Association and was a co-leader in the MPA Great Beginnings program for new administrators. Jean was the Maine High School Principal of the Year in 2003, received the Colby College Outstanding Educator Award in 2006, and is a USM Wall of Fame recipient in educational leadership. Jean came to the MPA where she served as an assistant executive director for 3 years, continuing her quest for professional knowledge for administrators throughout her tenure. After leaving the MPA, she served as the interim superintendent, the director of school management, and then assistant superintendent, all for the Portland School District. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you my friend and colleague, Ms. Jean Crocker. Jean?
Thank you very much, Mike. That's lovely. I think I should not say anything about myself. It's only going to go downhill after that. Thank you. My theme this evening is gratitude. My principalship at South Portland High School was my dream job at the school that I loved. An awesome 13 years. I am indebted to Superintendent of Schools Reg McDonald for taking a big chance on me, moving me from the classroom to the principalship. At SPHS, the principal, Jackie Soychek, set me up wonderfully for the job. All amazing things that were then going to happen to me through these connections and these supports that I had from so many people important to me. All my amazing assistant principals over the years, including Megan Welter and Lori Wood, made all the difference in the world. My incredible secretaries, Dot Lee, Cheryl Kieran, Renee Helmke, and Carol Brown made things roll smoothly in a very large high school. The Maine Principals Association, especially Phyllis Doringas, with the Great Beginnings program and so many learning opportunities, made a huge difference in my life. All my college, high school principals throughout the state, including the WACI group, Women Administrators of Cumberland and York. We met together monthly and self-selected to be included in this group and found that we learned so very much from each other. The co-founder with me was Deb McAfee. Assistant Principal John Driscoll, who got me through my mandatory assistant principal year, was amazing. My supportive world language teaching colleagues, Cecile LaPlante, Claire Chase, and Tina Smith, were instrumental in my being successful in my role. All the South Portland High School athletes, musicians, artists, singers, robotics contestants, the list of co-curriculars goes on and on. I love supporting them in their competitions and performances at SPHS and throughout the state and throughout New England. Let me conclude with my dual professional passions, being a Spanish and French teacher for many years and then being the principal of South Portland High School for 13 years, my dream job. Thank you to the Maine Principals Association for this award and for the wonderful opportunity to work with you for 3 years. And thank you to my very understanding husband, Lloyd, and my 2 children, Thomas and Elizabeth, who too many times had to wing it in my absence.
Jean, congratulations on an outstanding legacy in education and your induction into the MPA Hall of Excellence. Our next honoree this evening is Dennis Kaya. Dennis graduated from John Baptist High School in 1965, the University of Maine with a BS in education, and then his master's degree in education administration in 1993. He taught at both Foxcroft Academy and Brewer High School for a combined 19 years before moving on to administration. In 1990, Dennis was the assistant principal at Herman High School for 3 years before he became the athletic administrator of Brewer High School from 1993 to 2012. 6 of those years, he also served as assistant principal. Dennis has been the assistant varsity football coach at Brewer and Foxcroft Academy, as well as the head varsity coach at Foxcroft Academy. He has been the assistant varsity basketball coach for both Foxcroft Academy and Brewer High School, as well as the head varsity basketball coach for a year at Brewer High School. Finally, he also coached varsity baseball for Foxcroft Academy and Brewer High School. Dennis has served on multiple committees, including as a director for the Dover Foxcroft Kiwanis Swim Program, the Baseball Coaches Liaison to the MPA, the Maine Coaches Association Executive Committee, the Maine Interscholastic Athletic Administrator Executive Committee, the MIAAA Executive Committee Retired Athletic Administrators Liaison, the MIAAA Executive Committee Second Vice President, MIAAA President, the MPA Ad Hoc Ice Hockey Committee, President of the Penobscot Valley Conference, the MPA Status and Welfare Committee, the MPA Ad Hoc Committee New England Participation, MPA Sports Season Policy, and Baseball and Softball Committees. He has also served on the MPA Athletic Administrators Advisory Committee and the MIAAA Athletic Administrators Mentoring Committee. As you can see, Dennis was quite active in both the Athletic Administrators Association and the Maine Principals Association, as well as at the league level. Dennis has received many accolades, including Maine Baseball Coach of the Year, Athletic Administrator Distinguished Service Award winner, the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators State Award of Merit, the Kennebec Valley Athletic Conference Distinguished Service Award, the Maine Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Bob Lay Athletic Administrator of the Year, the Retired Service Award, the National Federation on State High School Association Citation State of Maine nominee, the Jerry Durgan Excellence in Leadership, the 2012 Maine Sports Legends Hall of Honors, the NFHS Regional Award winner, the Martin E. Ryan Award of Excellence from the MIAAA. He was inducted into the Brewer High School Athletic Hall of Fame, has been an MPA, has been a Larry Labrie Award winner, and he was inducted, whoops, sorry, I said he was inducted in the Brewer Hall of Fame. In honor of Dennis, the 2012 Brewer High School Yearbook and PVC Baseball Player of the Year are both in his name. For years, Mr. Kaya's positive attitude comes forth with his battle cry to everyone he encounters with a hearty, "Fire up!" Coach Kaya, fire up. It is my honor to present Mr. Dennis Kaya for induction into the 2021 MPA Hall of Excellence.
Thank you, Mike, for that kind introduction, and fire up yourself. Congratulations to all of the worthy recipients who have been inducted before us, and a special congratulations to this year's class of 2021. I've been fortunate to have personally known many of you in this year's outstanding class by either working with or for you, or by competing with or against you. I think you all will agree that awards like this are not earned by the work of just one person. First and foremost, I want to thank my family for allowing me to do what I love for so many years. The sacrifices they made and are continuing to make have allowed me to work with many outstanding individuals who give me a reason to enjoy each and every day. The administrators who gave me so many opportunities and my colleagues who have helped me along the way all have a special place in my heart. Someone once said that it's amazing what can be accomplished if no one cares who gets the credit. I was able to retire in 2012 after 41 years in education, and I was home for 2 weeks. And my wife called the high school and said, find something for him to do. He's driving me crazy. And it was one of those situations where you make a suggestion as to how something might be done more efficiently, and that's what I got. So I'm back in coaching again, football and baseball, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to stop. This is a special award from an organization that makes a difference in many activities and in thousands of lives every day, especially during the difficult times that we all experienced the last couple of years. I'm humbled by this honor and will cherish and remember this special night. Congratulations again to the class of 2021, and thank you to the members of the Maine Principals Association for honoring me and including me in this year's class of the MPA Hall of Excellence. Thank you.
Dennis, congratulations, and thank you for all you have done and continue to do. Next, it's my pleasure to recognize our next inductee, Meredith Bradley Bickford. Meredith graduated from Skowhegan Area High School in 1993, where after high school, she went on to attend the University of Southern Maine, where she earned her Bachelor of Art degree in Communication, and then her Master of Art degree in Leadership Studies. Meredith has spent most of her life surrounded by sports. She has spent the last 20 years coaching at the youth, middle, high school, and collegiate levels. Her tenure at the University of Southern Maine includes serving as an assistant coach of the field hockey and softball teams and was the head coach of women's lacrosse. She was also the assistant director of athletics and associate director of athletics. Currently, Meredith is the assistant field hockey coach and the head girls lacrosse coach at Gorham High School. While in high school, Meredith was a multi-sport athlete, where she also played on the USA Field Hockey Futures team, was a member of the Field Hockey Junior Olympic team, played on a state championship amateur softball association team, and was an integral part of numerous state championships in both field hockey and softball at Skowhegan High School. Over the years, she has been recognized as the Kennebec Valley Athletic Conference All-Star, was the KVAC Field Hockey Player of the Year, was recognized with All-State Field Hockey Honors, and as the Morning Sentinel Player of the Year. Her senior year of high school, she was selected as the Skowhegan Female Athlete of the Year and was also featured in Sports Illustrated Faces in the Crowd. At USM, she was a collegiate All-American in both field hockey and softball, has been inducted into the Husky Hall of Fame in both field hockey and softball, received the USM Outstanding Faculty and Staff Involvement Award in 2005 and again in 2007, and was inducted into the Skowhegan Area High School Hall of Fame. She has been recognized as Mrs. Maine America and was a recipient of the NIDI Emerging Athletic Administrator Award. Meredith lives in Gorham with her husband, Matt, and her 2 children, Landon and Hannah. Please join us in welcoming Meredith Bradley Bickford to the 2021 MPA Hall of Excellence. Congratulations, Meredith.
I am honored and humbled. I have people clapping in the other room. I am honored and humbled by this incredible award. I'd first like to thank the MPA and the Hall of Excellence Committee for providing me with this special recognition. Specifically, Mike Burnham, Mike Bisson, and Jerry Durgan. And congratulations to the other honorees. My history and journey with sports started well before I can remember. I am one of the youngest of several older brothers and sisters who took their turn at one playing surface or another. My father was a football and baseball athlete and coached football throughout my younger years. My mother played field hockey many moons ago on the streets of Wales. I can remember Coach Doughty posting a photo of sticks recently that they had used in those days and knew my mother had used a similar stick. I am forever grateful for my parents for providing me with the opportunity to participate in sports. I began my sports career on a Little League field at Norridge Walk Elementary School with the rest of the boys and girls, as softball was not offered until we went to the junior high school. Field hockey began in 3rd grade when Coach Paula Doughty offered her first ever summer session for young girls. This was, and I believe still is, run by her high school players. My sister at the time was part of the high school program, and I would tag along from time to time to attend practices with her. My younger brother and I spent many days playing catch, pitching to each other, and catching fly balls. If it wasn't a football, it was a baseball. And I spent many hours on the front lawn trying to dodge my dog Pluto, as he was for many years my strongest defender. At a very young age, I met Coach Doughty and she saw something in me that I don't think I saw in myself until I was well into my 20s. It was her expectations that I wanted to live up to. And this created me that I cherish to this day. Thank you, Paula. Include team dinners, road trips, camps, bonfires, pep rallies, wins and losses, listening to Lunatic Fringe in the locker room, and thinking that we were much bigger than the world around us. To being a part of the first Skowhegan field hockey and softball state championship.
Meredith, you froze. Meredith, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Oh, there you are. You're back. Oh. Okay, I think you're good.
To celebrating on Madison Avenue with my softball players, to field hockey scoring the winning goal after 11 overtime corners against South Portland. However, this wouldn't have happened without my teammates, my coaches, my parents.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. None of this would have happened without the support of the people around me. I have been blessed with great coaches and mentors, teammates that have become lifelong friends. Skowhegan remains a town that I still call home, one that I visit frequently and as often as I can. The town and the people in it have provided me with a credible foundation for this amazing journey. After Skowhegan, I went to USM. The experience opened so many doors for me, both athletically and professionally. Playing both field hockey and softball with some of the most incredible teammates I could have ever imagined. Thank you for the time we spent together and for the growth we endured together. Thank you to Paula Hodgson and Bonnie Brown Denico for believing in me and supporting me. My memories are so many: van rides, New York City, early morning practices, team bonding, NCAA championships in Wisconsin. There are too many to touch upon, but ones I will cherish for a lifetime. USM and Gorham became home to me after graduation, and my involvement in sports remained to be my passion. I began my professional career as a college and high school coach, working at both USM and Gorham High School. Jerry, thank you for your professionalism, leadership, and provide an example of what both characteristics truly emulate. My career included facilitator, manager, assistant AD, and eventually ending my tenure as the associate AD. Thank you, Al, Kim, BL, Ed, and to all the athletes and students I was blessed to work with over the 18 years I was there. Sports are part of me and have been since I can remember. The transferable skills learned in sports are like no other. Responsibility, dealing with pressure situations, quick decisions, seeing that something is much bigger than you alone. Patience, adversity, teamwork, friendship, family, character, the never give up attitude, and the grit to play until the very last whistle under any conditions. The impact of all of the experiences in my life are immeasurable. The lessons are irreplaceable. Our kids need to be believed in, to be pushed, to be held accountable. As leaders, we need to hold them to a standard of expectation and follow through. And more importantly, let them be kids. Take risks, make mistakes, learn to grow, gain confidence through failures, and celebrate successes. Take the time to recognize the little things, be in their corner, help them to reach their full potential, and to be the leaders we so desperately need. My mom always told me, Meredith, life is not a rehearsal. You only get to go through once. My mentors helped me to recognize this, and it is my hope that I help others understand what they can accomplish with their one time through. If there's anything I would like for anyone to want to say to me, it is that, and remember me, is that I live the best version of myself possible on and off the playing surface. That is what my parents taught me and what involvement in sports has taught me. And I truly hope that I have impacted one person the way that so many of you have impacted me. Today, I am the varsity lacrosse coach at Gorham, as well as the assistant field hockey coach. Thank you to my Gorham community. Thank you to Becky and Tim for allowing me to continue my career and helping me to impact young athletes in the most effective and positive way that I can. I am forever grateful. Thank you to the Maine Principals Association for this incredible honor. Thank you to my family, Matt, Landon, and Hannah, for allowing me to continue to do what I am so passionate about. I am extremely humbled.
Meredith, congratulations on your many outstanding accomplishments. I am sure that there are many more to come in the future. Welcome to the MPA Hall of Excellence.
Thank you.
Our final inductee in the 2021 MPA Hall of Excellence is Leroy Patterson. Leroy graduated from Bangor High School in 1962. Many consider Leroy Patterson as one of Maine's greatest all-time all-sports athletes. He led the Bangor Rams in basketball under legendary coach Red Berry. The 6'2", 190-pound forward was an outstanding scorer and rebounder and earned second-team All-State honors as a junior. He then earned first-team recognition as a senior when he led Bangor to the 1962 Eastern Maine Class XXL championship. Patterson finished his basketball career with more than 1,000 points, which was a relatively rare feat at that time for players at the Class XXL, which is now the Class AA level. Leroy was an outstanding baseball player and was chosen as an all-state player for his play as an outfielder. He ultimately was selected in the Major League Baseball draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Leroy was also a two-time high school All-American as a halfback and defensive back in football for the Bangor Rams. Following his accomplished high school career, he accepted a football scholarship to the University of Connecticut, was named most valuable player on his freshman team. Upon returning to Maine, Leroy further established his basketball bona fides by dominating the active semi-pro circuit for the next 10 years. He worked 30 years with the University of Maine Public Safety, retiring as a sergeant. He was a longtime umpire, official referee, and volunteer for youth basketball, football, and baseball. He was inducted in the Maine Sports Legends and the Maine Sports Hall of Fame, and also the Maine Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. Leroy Patterson was an extremely humble and proud man. He had a way of making those around him feel comfortable and was very devoted to the University of Maine and the city of Bangor. As Bangor High longtime athletic administrator Stephen Edestein said, he was at the very top of a short list of the best athletes ever to play at Bangor High School. And as a person, he was one of the very best I ever met. It is with great honor that I welcome Leroy Patterson posthumously into the MPA Hall of Excellence. Speaking on behalf of Leroy Patterson is his son, Ryan Weston.
First, I would like to thank the MPA on behalf of my father and our family for bestowing this honor upon my dad, Leroy Patterson, and congratulate all the other honorees tonight. The sad thing that is lost here with me accepting this award on my dad's behalf is the level of humility that he would portray. I am much less humble about his accomplishments than he ever was. Leroy wouldn't have called to tell any of his family or friends that this happened. Rather, he would have waited for word to spread on its own or told us in some roundabout, minimalizing way to make sure not to brag. He would have immediately brought up how fortunate he was to have coaches such as Red Berry and Jerry Hodge and great teammates that allowed him to accomplish all the things he did. That's just who Dad was. My father took great pride in the fact that he had the opportunity to represent Bangor as an athlete. He was the most competitive man I've ever been around, and yet the most quiet and humble. Dad had the ability to flip the switch between the lines as well as anybody I've ever known. In fact, he was so humble, I didn't even know he played sports until I was in middle school. A stranger tapped me on the shoulder while we were buying my first pair of basketball shoes, and he wanted to tell me how good of an athlete Dad was. I was so confused. I looked up to my dad for confirmation. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Yeah, I was okay." In the years after, going place to place with Dad, I would be blessed to hear the stories of his greatness and how there had never been another one like him. I never heard anybody utter a single bad word about him, and as many times as I've heard the stories, that's quite impressive. Going anywhere with Dad was always an adventure. If he told you how long something was going to take, the general rule was add 20 minutes for a random encounter and story time. Everyone had a story involving Dad. One in particular that I always laugh at is we're in the grocery store, somebody approached them, and as they always did, their face lit up. "Lee, you here," from a couple aisles away, their face full of excitement. He said, "Man, you were the best football player I've ever seen. I still have the cleat mark from when you stepped on my face running me over on your way to an 80-yard score." The man exclaimed, so happy to be a part of the Leroy Patterson legend. Dad smiled, laughed, and spoke to him for the traditional 10 to 15 minutes, and we went on our way. When we got back to the car, I made some remark about the story, and Dad turned to me and said, "Ryan, I was 180 pounds soaking wet. There's no way I ran that guy over." We laughed for a good 10 minutes, but that was Dad, downplaying himself, even in others' recounts of him. I think the most appropriate way for me to end this speech is by quoting my brother Ronnie from his eulogy for my dad. My dad loved Bangor, and Bangor loved him. So I thank you for continuing that love of my father here today on an even larger scale.
Ryan, great job speaking on behalf of your dad. He was truly a special man. Well, that concludes our program for tonight. And let me just say, wow, what a great group of people we have had a chance to recognize here tonight. Every one of these honorees exemplified the best that we have in education, including in interscholastic activities and sports. And their wonderful and thoughtful words will help inspire us every day as we continue to work to create these opportunities. We are pleased to honor each one of them into this 2021 Hall of Excellence, and want to thank each and every one of you for this memorable evening. Please stay safe, and thank you again for your leadership. Good night.